high their strikers. There's something uniquely disturbing about people vanishing into thin air. Read about these incredibly strange, unsolved cases. Although these disappearances span centuries, locations, age ranges, and circumstances, there's one common thread shared between them: a lack of closure. There are theories, speculations, and investigations, but never a decisive answer. On our incoming episode, I'm going to feature some of the cases of mysterious disappearances, of some missing that just disappear without any trace. Our feature story is about the mysterious disappearance of Josefa Lanes Escoda. She was a Filipino civic leader, social worker, World War II heroine, and suffragette. She is most famously known for campaigning women's suffrage and as the founder to the Girl Scouts of the Philippines. Josefa was born in Dingaras, Ilocos Norte as Josefa Lanes, Madamba. She was the eldest of the 7 children of Mercedes Madamba and Gabriel Lanes. Josefa's siblings were Florencio, Luisa, Elvira, Rosario, Purita, and Eufrosina. Josefa, called by her nickname Paper as a child, grew up with an instilled idea of the true Christian service. Her mother was said to be a sweet, loving woman who taught her children the importance of serving the people. This amiable character honed by her mother manifested in many parts of Paper's life. During her elementary days, Paper was known to be a sunny, naturally active and precocious student. She also had unyielding importance for education. Josefa was valedictorian in grade school and salutatorian in high school in Dingaras Elementary School, Dingaras, Ilocos Norte. She went to Philippine Normal School in Manila to earn her teaching degree, and graduated with honors in 1919. While working as a teacher, she earned a high school teacher's certificate from the University of the Philippines in 1922. After obtaining her teacher's certificate, she became a social worker for the Philippine chapter of the American Red Cross. The Red Cross granted her a scholarship to the United States, where she earned a master's degree in sociology from Columbia University in 1925. She also held a position in the National Federation of Women's Clubs, NFWC, serving as executive secretary in 1923, later serving as president from 1941 to 1944. While in the United States, Josefa joined a group of foreign students who wholeheartedly supported an International House project in New York. During her free time in the International House, she accepted speaking engagements. It was also her practice to wear a Filipiniana dress during her lecture tours to arouse foreigners' interest in Philippines. During her first trip to the United States, while she was at the Women's International League for Peace, 1925, she met Antonio Escoda Sr., a businessman from Gandara, Samar, whom she later married. They had 2 children, Maria Teresa, who later became the president of the Cultural Center of the Philippines during the 1980s, and Antonio Jr. She returned to the Philippines again in the 1940s after undergoing intensified training in Girl Scouting in USA sponsored by the Boy Scouts of the Philippines. Afterwards, she began to train young women to become Girl Scout leaders, then proceeded to organize the Girl Scouts of the Philippines. On the 26th of May 1940, President Manuel L. Quezon signed the Charter of the Girl Scouts of the Philippines. Josefa became the group's first national executive. During World War II, Japanese forces invaded the Philippines. By 1944, news of the underground activities of Josefa Lanes Escoda and her husband, Antonio, reached far and wide. As the Japanese army pushed deeper in the country, The couple had intensified their activities of supplying medicines, foods, clothes and messages to both Filipino war prisoners and American internees in concentration camps. Lieutenant Jose L. Lanes, commander of Ilocos Norte and Ilocos Sur, said he saw Josefa Lanes Escoda on the 14th of January 1944 in the presence of her husband, Antonio Escoda. Josefa Lanes Escoda left this final message to Lieutenant Jose L. Lanes: "I have done my duty to my country and God. To my mind the most I have done is having helped with the little I could do to save the lives of the surrendered soldiers of Bataan and Corregidor. I have offered myself as a guarantor for men later released by the enemy, that they commit no anti-Japanese act, men who, if they had the guts left, would continue their resistance. I have acted as guarantors not only for the sake of humanity, but also to encourage them to fight again. If you happen to survive, and I fail, tell our people that the women of the Philippines did their part also in making the ember sparks of truth and liberty alive till the last moment." Antonio was first arrested in June 1944, and Josefa Lanes Escoda was also arrested 2 months later on the 27th of August. She was imprisoned in Fort Santiago, the same prison as her husband, who was executed in 1944 along with General Vicente Lim, who was imprisoned with him. On the 6th of January 1945, Josefa Lanes Escoda was then evidently taken and held in one of the buildings of Far Eastern University occupied by the Japanese. She was last seen alive on January 6, 1945, but severely beaten and weak, and was transferred into a Japanese transport truck. It is presumed that she was executed and buried in an unmarked grave, either in the Liloma Cemetery or Manila Chinese Cemetery, which Japanese forces used as execution and burial grounds for thousands of Filipinos who resisted the Japanese occupation. A street and a building have been named after her and a monument has been dedicated to her memory. A road in Ilocos Norte is also named after her, and was depicted on the current 1,000 peso bill as one of 3 Filipinos martyred by the Japanese armed forces. The Girl Scouts of the Philippines pay homage to Josefa Lanes Escoda every September 20th by celebrating her birth anniversary with activities that create further awareness of her martyrdom and contribution to youth development. On September 20, 2018, a Google Doodle was created to commemorate her 120th birthday. Together with Jose Abad Santos and Vicente Lim, she is memorialized on the Philippines' 1,000 peso banknote depicting Filipinos who fought and died resisting the Japanese occupation of the Philippines during the Second World War at the Far Eastern University in Manila,